The cold metal walls of the alien academy reflected the harsh blue light that filled the classroom. Commander Thexaval stood tall on his 6 legs, his scaly green skin gleaming under the lights. His yellow eyes swept across the room, looking at his students. They were all different kinds of aliens from across the galaxy. Some were tall and thin like walking sticks. Others were short and covered in thick fur. A few had extra arms or strange-colored skin. But they all had one thing in common. They all wanted to learn how to kill humans. Today we finish our lessons about the human species, Thexaval said in his deep voice. His words came out with a slight hiss because of his snake-like tongue. After today you will know everything about how weak and pathetic they are. The hologram machine in the center of the room buzzed to life. A perfect image of a human body appeared in the air, slowly turning so everyone could see it from all sides. The body looked small and soft compared to the strong alien warriors watching it. Look at this creature. Thexaval pointed at the hologram with one of his long arms. See how thin their skin is? A simple blade can cut through it easily. Their bones are hollow like bird bones. One good hit will break them into pieces. A student in the front row raised a clawed hand. It was Korvax, a young warrior from the Eos ice planet Frezon. His blue skin was covered in thick scales that could stop most weapons. Commander, what about their teeth and claws? All good fighters have sharp weapons. Thexaval made a sound that might have been laughter. Teeth? Claws? Look at them. The hologram changed to show a human hand and mouth up close. Their teeth are flat and dull. They cannot even tear meat properly, and their claws? He pointed at the human fingernails. These soft things could not scratch the paint off a ship. More students began to ask questions. A tall alien with 4 eyes wanted to know about human speed. Another with wings asked about their ability to fly. Each time, Thexaval had the same answer. Humans were slow. Humans were weak. Humans were nothing special. But Commander, said Veltara, a female warrior whose people were known for their intelligence, if humans are so weak, why has it taken the hegemony so long to attack their planet? Thexaval's eyes narrowed. Because we wanted to study them first. We wanted to be sure we understood every way to defeat them. We do not waste time on easy targets. The real reason was different, though Thexaval would never say it out loud. The galactic hegemony had tried to attack human colonies before. Those attacks had not gone as planned. Ships had been lost, warriors had died. But the official reports always said the humans had gotten lucky or used some kind of trick. Now let me show you their greatest weakness, Thexaval continued. The hologram changed again. This time it showed the inside of a human head, with the brain glowing in soft pink light. The human brain is their weakest point. They think too much about others. They care too much about their friends and families. This makes them easy to control. In the back corner of the room, something moved in the shadows. Most of the students did not notice. They were too focused on the lesson. But if they had looked carefully, they would have seen a figure sitting very still in a metal chair. The figure was smaller than the aliens around him. His skin was the pale pink color of a human. His name was Jamin Park, and he was supposed to be unconscious. The aliens had given him drugs to make him sleep during their lessons. They thought it was cruel to let him hear how they planned to destroy his people. But Jamin had been awake for weeks now. His body had learned to fight off their drugs. He sat quietly and listened to everything they said. Jamin was a communications officer in the human space fleet. 3 months ago, his small ship had been captured while he was on a scouting mission. The aliens had kept him alive as a test subject. They wanted to study how humans worked. They ran tests on his blood and his brain. They measured how fast he could run and how much weight he could lift. They thought they learned everything about humans from studying him. They were wrong. Humans form strong emotional bonds, Thexaval was saying. They call it love or friendship, or loyalty. We call it weakness. When you capture one human, all the others will try to save him. When you hurt one human, the others become afraid and confused. This is how we will defeat them. The hologram showed pictures of human families. Parents holding children, friends laughing together. soldiers fighting side by side. To the aliens, these images showed weakness. To Jaemin, they showed strength. Their emotions make them unpredictable. Thexval continued. Sometimes they run, away in fear. Sometimes they freeze up and cannot move. Sometimes they make stupid choices to save people who are already dead. This is why they will never be great warriors like us. A student asked about human weapons. The hologram changed to show guns and missiles and ships. Thexval waved a dismissive hand at them. Primitive kinetic weapons, he said. They throw small pieces of metal very fast. These weapons cannot pierce our shields or our natural armor. Their ships are slow and clumsy. Their missiles can be stopped by our defense systems. They have no energy weapons worth mentioning. No plasma cannons or matter disruptors. They fight like children throwing rocks. Jaemin almost smiled at that. The aliens had clearly never seen what human weapons could really do. They had never faced a human ship in a real battle. They had only attacked small colonies and research stations. They thought they understood human technology, but they had only seen the basic stuff. What about their planet? Asked another student. Earth has many different environments. Hot places, cold places, wet places, dry places. Will this make it hard to conquer? Not at all, Thexval replied. Humans need very specific conditions to survive. They die if it gets too hot or too cold. They need clean water and fresh air. They cannot survive in most of the environments where we would feel comfortable. Once we control their atmosphere processors and water supplies, they will surrender quickly. The lesson went on for 2 more hours. Thexval showed them human medical files that explained how easily humans got sick and hurt. He showed them psychological profiles that claimed humans were naturally fearful and would submit to stronger species. He showed them military reports that said human tactics were simple and predictable. All of this information came from human prisoners who had been captured over the years. The aliens thought they had broken these prisoners and forced them to tell the truth. They thought they had learned all of humanity's secrets. As the lesson finally ended, Thexval looked around the room with satisfaction. His students looked confident and ready for war. They believed they knew everything they needed to know about killing humans. Tomorrow we begin the final preparations, Thexval announced. In 1 month, we will launch the greatest invasion in galactic history. The human homeworld will fall in less than a week. Their entire species will be extinct within a year. Class dismissed. The alien students filed out of the room, talking excitedly about the coming war. They made jokes about how easy it would be. They argued about who would get to kill the most humans. They were like children planning a game. Only Thexval remained in the room, along with the unconscious human prisoner in the corner. The commander walked over to Jaemin and stared down at him. The human's eyes were closed. His breathing was slow and steady. He looked completely helpless. Thexval reached out with one of his clawed hands and touched the human's face. The skin was soft and warm, so fragile, so easy to destroy. Soon your entire pathetic species will be gone, Thexval whispered. And there is nothing you can do to stop us. If Thexval had been more careful, he might have noticed that the restraints holding Jaemin to the chair were not as tight as they should have been. He might have seen the slight movement of the humans, eyes behind his closed lids. He might have realized that his prisoner had been awake and listening to every single word. But Thexval was too confident, too sure of his victory. He walked away without checking the restraints. He left the room without posting a guard. In the darkness, Jaemin Park slowly opened his eyes. The next morning brought a new lesson to the Alien Academy. Commander Thexval stood before his students again. But today was different. Today he would show them exactly how humans died. Yesterday you learned about human weakness, Thexval began. Today you will see it in action. The hologram machine hummed to life, but instead of showing anatomy charts, it displayed a real recording. The image showed a human space station orbiting a distant planet. The station was called New Sol, and it looked peaceful in the starlight. This recording is from last month, Thexval explained. Watch carefully. This is how easy it is to break human spirits. Jaemin sat in his corner, still pretending to be unconscious, but inside his heart began to race. New Seoul was where his sister worked. She was a scientist there, studying alien plants and animals. He had not heard from her in months. The hologram showed alien ships approaching the station. They were sleek and black, almost invisible against the darkness of space. The human defenders never saw them coming. Observe their reaction. Thexval pointed as the recording showed human soldiers running through the corridors of the station. See how they panic? See how they bump into each other and shout orders that make no sense? But Jamin saw something different. The humans were not panicking. They were following emergency procedures. They were getting civilians to safety and preparing defensive positions. It looked chaotic to the aliens because they did not understand human tactics. The attack began with a strange weapon. Instead of explosions or laser beams, the alien ships broadcast sound across the station. It was the sound of humans screaming in pain and terror. "This is our psychological warfare," Thexval said proudly. "The sounds you hear are from humans we captured during previous raids. We recorded them while they were being questioned. When other humans hear these sounds, they become paralyzed with fear." On the hologram, some of the human defenders did stop moving when they heard the screams. A few dropped their weapons, but most of them kept fighting. They just fought with tears in their eyes. "Here's the station commander," Thexval zoomed in on a man in a military uniform. "His name is Do-hyun Lee. Watch how quickly he surrenders when he realizes his people are in danger." The recording showed Do-hyun talking to his officers. He looked calm even though alien ships were attacking his station. He gave orders in a steady voice. He moved from room to room, checking on his people and making sure they were safe. "He thinks he can protect them." Thexval laughed. "But humans always make the same mistake. They care more about others than themselves." The alien ships began boarding the station. The defenders fought hard, but they were outnumbered. Slowly, the aliens took control of each section. They captured humans and dragged them away. They destroyed equipment and broke down doors. Through it all, Do-hyun kept fighting. Even when most of his people were captured, he kept trying to save them. Even when his weapons ran out, he used his bare hands. Even when the aliens finally cornered him, he did not beg for mercy. "Look at his face," Thexval told his students. "See how he looks at his captured people? See how much pain it causes him to watch them suffer? This is why humans are weak. Their emotions destroy them." But Jamin saw something else in Do-hyun's face. He saw determination. He saw a man who was buying time for others to escape. He saw a soldier who knew he was going to die, but wanted his death to mean something. The recording showed the final moments of the battle. Do-hyun was forced to watch as his people were tortured. The aliens wanted him to surrender completely, to tell them all the secrets of human defenses. They thought the sound of his friend's suffering would break his will. Instead, Do-hyun used those moments to destroy the station's computer systems. While the aliens were distracted by their cruelty, he erased all the important data. He sent warning messages to other human colonies. He made sure his death would save lives. When the aliens realized what he had done, they killed him quickly, but it was too late. The damage was done. The result was perfect. Thexval told his students. "We destroyed a major human research facility. We captured valuable prisoners. We learned more about their defensive capabilities. And we proved that humans will always choose emotion over logic." The hologram changed to show other captured humans from the New Seoul station. There were scientists and engineers and medical workers. They all looked tired and scared, but none of them looked broken. One face made Jamin's blood run cold. It was Hyewan Kim, his sister. She was alive, but she was a prisoner. Her clothes were torn and her face was bruised, but her eyes still burned with defiance. This one was particularly interesting. Thexval pointed at Hyewan. She is a xenobiologist, someone who studies alien life forms. She knows many secrets about how different species work. We thought she would be eager to cooperate. The recording showed Hyewan being questioned by alien interrogators. They asked her about human biology and medicine. They wanted to know about diseases that could kill humans quickly. They wanted to know about poisons that would work on human bodies. Hyewan answered some questions, but her answers were clearly lies. She told them that humans were allergic to common substances that were actually harmless. She said that human blood would boil in normal temperatures. She claimed that loud noises could kill humans instantly. The aliens believed her lies because they fit with what they already thought about human weakness. They wrote down every word and made plans to use this information in their invasion. She has been very helpful, Thexaval said with satisfaction. Thanks to her cooperation, we know exactly how to make humans suffer the most. But Jaemin could see what his sister was really doing. She was feeding the aliens false information. She was making them overconfident. She was setting them up for failure. The demonstration continued with recordings from other human colonies that had been attacked. Each time, the story was the same. The aliens would use psychological warfare to break human morale. The humans would fight bravely but eventually lose. Some humans would be captured and forced to give information. What the aliens did not realize was that every piece of information they received was part of a larger plan. The humans they had captured were all volunteers. They had been trained to act like broken prisoners while actually serving as double agents. Here is another excellent example. Thexval showed a recording of a woman named Yoon Seo Choi. She had been a communications officer on a human cargo ship. The aliens had captured her ship 6 months ago. The recording showed Yoon Seo crying and begging for mercy. She told the aliens about human communication codes and defensive positions. She drew maps of Earth's solar system and marked where the human fleets were stationed. She broke quickly, Thexaval explained. Most humans do when they are separated from their pack. Without their emotional support system, they become desperate to please their captors. The alien students took notes as Yoon Seo revealed secret after secret. She told them about human weaknesses they had never suspected. She explained how human ships worked and where they kept their weapons. She even gave them the personal addresses of important human leaders. All of it was lies, but the aliens did not know that. The demonstration went on for hours. Recording after recording showed humans being defeated and captured. Each victory made the alien students more confident. Each piece of intelligence made them more eager to attack Earth. You see the pattern, Thexval finally said. Humans are individually brave but collectively weak. They will sacrifice themselves for others, but they cannot sacrifice others for the greater good. This makes them predictable. This makes them easy to defeat. A student raised a tentacle. Commander, what if the humans learn about our plans? What if they prepare defenses? Thexval made his hissing laugh sound again. Impossible. Look at the evidence. Every human we have captured has told us their secrets. Every battle we have fought has ended in victory. The humans do not even know. We exist in large numbers. They think we are just pirates and raiders. But what about their military? Another student asked. Surely they have learned something from our attacks. Their military is a joke. Thexval waved a dismissive hand. They have no discipline. They have no real weapons. They have no experience fighting a superior enemy. When we attack Earth, their fleets will scatter like frightened fish. The demonstration finally ended as the sun set outside the academy. The alien students filed out of the room, their heads full of images of human defeat. They talked excitedly about the coming invasion. They made bets about how quickly Earth would fall. Thexval remained behind to review the recordings one more time. He was particularly interested in the information from Yoon Seo Choi. Her intelligence about Earth's defenses would be crucial to the invasion plan. As he watched the recording again, he felt a moment of doubt. The human woman seemed almost too eager to cooperate. Her information was almost too detailed and convenient. But then he shook his head. Humans were weak and emotional. Of course they would break under pressure. Of course they would betray their own species to save themselves. It was exactly what he expected from such an inferior race. In the corner of the room, Jae-min had heard every word and seen every recording. He now knew the full scope of the alien invasion plan. He knew which colonies had been attacked and which humans had been captured. 3 days later, Commander Thexaval called for the most important lesson of all. The entire academy gathered in the main hall, a massive room that could hold thousands of alien warriors. Students came from every corner of the galaxy. Some traveled for weeks just to hear this final briefing. Jamin found himself moved to a different location for this special event. Instead of sitting alone in the back corner, he was now placed on a raised platform where everyone could see him. The aliens had drugged him more heavily than usual, but his body had grown resistant to their chemicals. He remained awake and alert while appearing unconscious. Today marks the beginning of the end for humanity, Thexval announced to the massive crowd. His voice echoed through the hall without any electronic help. Everything you have learned in the past months will now be put into action. The giant hologram system activated, filling the center of the hall with a perfect three-dimensional map of the human solar system. Earth hung in the middle, blue and green and beautiful. Around it were the human colonies, space stations, and defensive platforms. Behold the target. Thexval gestured grandly. 9 billion humans living on one small planet, a few million more scattered across their pathetic colonies, all of them soft, weak, and completely unprepared for what is coming. The crowd of alien students cheered and roared their approval. Some banged weapons against the floor. Others made threatening gestures at the image of Earth. Our intelligence gathering is complete, Thexval continued. Thanks to the cooperation of human prisoners, we know everything about their defenses. We know where their weapons are hidden. We know how their leaders think. We know exactly how to break their spirit. The hologram changed to show detailed maps of Earth itself. Major cities appeared as glowing dots. Military bases were marked with red symbols. Important leaders were identified with their photos and personal information. The invasion will happen during their winter season, Thexval explained. Our scientists have determined that humans become sluggish and weak during cold weather. Their reflexes slow down. Their equipment breaks more easily. They spend more time indoors, making them easier targets. Jamin almost smiled at that. Winter was actually when human soldiers performed some of their best training. Cold weather made humans more alert, not less, and human equipment was designed to work perfectly in extreme temperatures. Phase 1 will begin with orbital bombardment. Thexval pointed to the space around Earth. We will target their major population centers with kinetic weapons, not to destroy the cities completely, but to create chaos and refugee movements. The hologram showed the planned attack patterns. Massive alien ships would drop tungsten rods from high orbit, creating explosions without radiation. The goal was to damage infrastructure and force millions of humans to flee their homes. Confused and frightened humans will clog their own transportation systems, Thexval continued. They will abandon their defensive positions to help civilians. Their military will waste time on rescue operations instead of fighting us. A student raised a clawed hand. Commander, what if they do not care about their civilians? What if they focus on military targets instead? Impossible, Thexval replied firmly. Remember what we learned from our prisoners. Humans cannot ignore suffering around them. They will always try to save the weak ones first. This is their greatest weakness and our greatest advantage. The hologram shifted to show Phase 2 of the invasion plan. Alien ships would broadcast the screams of captured humans across every communication channel on Earth. The psychological warfare would be constant and unavoidable. We have collected thousands of hours of human distress calls, Thexval said proudly. Screams of pain, cries for help, the last words of dying soldiers. We will play these sounds from every satellite, every radio tower, every communication device on the planet. The plan was detailed and thorough. The aliens had studied human psychology for years. They believed that constant exposure to the sounds of suffering would drive humans insane. They thought entire populations would surrender rather than listen to the endless broadcast of terror. Phase 3 begins once human morale breaks. Thexval moved to the final part of his presentation. Ground invasion with overwhelming force. By this time, most humans will be too traumatized to fight effectively. We will land our armies in 12 locations around the planet. The hologram showed the planned landing sites. Each location had been chosen for maximum psychological impact. The aliens would land near major population centers but not directly on them. They wanted the humans to see the invasion forces gathering just outside their cities. We estimate total victory within 7 standard days, Thexval announced. The human military will collapse once they realize the scope of our forces. Their leaders will surrender to prevent further civilian casualties. The crowd cheered again, even louder than before. The plan seemed perfect to them. Every possible human response had been anticipated and countered. But Jae-min knew something the aliens did not. Every piece of intelligence they had gathered came from captured humans who were actually working for Earth's military. Every weakness they had discovered was actually a carefully planned deception. The hologram changed again to show individual, human prisoners who had provided the most valuable information. Hee-won Kim appeared first, still looking tired and defeated in her cell. Dr. Kim has been particularly helpful, Thexval said. She has provided detailed information about human biology and medicine. Thanks to her cooperation, we know exactly which diseases and poisons will be most effective against human populations. The crowd listened eagerly as Thexval listed the biological weapons they planned to use. Airborne viruses that would supposedly kill humans within hours, chemical agents that would make human skin dissolve, sonic weapons that would burst human eardrums and cause instant death. None of it would actually work, of course. Hee-won had fed them completely false information about human biology. But the aliens believed every word because it matched their expectations about human fragility. Next came Yoon Seo-choi, the communications officer who had supposedly broken under interrogation. Her image appeared in the hologram, and she looked even more defeated than before. Officer Choi has given us complete access to human communication systems, Thexval explained. She has provided passwords, encryption keys, and tactical frequencies. During the invasion, we will be able to listen to every human military transmission. The tactical information that Yoon Seo had provided was incredibly detailed. She had given them maps of every human military installation. She had explained how human fleets were organized and how they communicated during battle. She had even provided personal information about high-ranking human officers. All of it was false, but the aliens had no way to know that. Most importantly, Thexval continued, she has revealed the location of Earth's secret defensive installations. Humans have been building hidden weapons platforms for decades, thinking they could surprise us during an invasion. The hologram showed the supposed locations of these secret bases: underground bunkers filled with advanced weapons, space stations hidden in asteroid fields, mobile defense platforms disguised as cargo ships. The aliens planned to attack these installations first, eliminating Earth's hidden defenses before they could be used. They had no idea that the real defensive installations were in completely different locations. We have also learned about human leadership psychology. Thexval moved to a new section of his presentation. Their leaders are chosen through popularity contests rather than combat trials. This means their commanders are weak and indecisive. The hologram showed photos and biographical information about Earth's military leaders. Admiral Min-ho Kang appeared first, described as an elderly human who has never fought in a real battle. General Soo-jin Park was labeled as emotionally unstable and prone to panic under pressure. Every assessment was wrong. The aliens had completely misunderstood how human leadership worked. They thought human commanders were weak because they did not rule through fear and intimidation. Human tactics are equally primitive, Thexval continued. They rely on linear formations and predictable strategies. They have no concept of advanced three-dimensional warfare or quantum battlefield management. The presentation showed examples of human military exercises that the aliens had observed from a distance. To them, human tactics looked simple and outdated. They did not realize they were watching basic training exercises, not actual military doctrine. Their weapons technology is laughably obsolete. Thexval brought up images of human ships and weapons. Kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives. No plasma weapons, no matter disruptors, no quantum torpedoes. They fight with museum pieces. The crowd laughed at images of human railguns and missile systems. The weapons looked crude and primitive compared to alien energy weapons. The aliens had no idea that human kinetic weapons had been specifically designed to penetrate energy shields and advanced armor. Finally, we come to their greatest weakness. Thexval's voice grew serious. Human reproduction rates are extremely slow. It takes them nearly 20 years to train a single warrior. Once we eliminate their current military, it will take decades for them to rebuild. This was another critical misunderstanding. The academy fell quiet in the hours after midnight. Most of the alien students had gone to their sleeping quarters, their heads full of invasion plans and dreams of victory. The hallways were empty except for a few guards who walked their rounds, with bored expressions. In the main hall, Jamin Park sat alone on his platform. The restraints that had held him for months were now loose enough to slip free. He had been working on them slowly, carefully, for weeks. Tonight was finally the night to act. But Jamin did not rush toward escape. Instead, he did something the aliens would never expect. He moved toward the Academy's main computer system. His years as a communications officer had taught him many things about alien technology. During his months of captivity, he had watched the aliens operate their equipment. He had memorized their security codes and learned their system passwords. The aliens thought he was unconscious during their lessons, so they never bothered to hide their computer access from him. The main communication terminal was located behind the hologram projector. Jamin moved quietly through the shadows, staying away from the areas where guards might patrol. His bare feet made no sound on the cold metal floor. The terminal was larger and more complex than human computers, but the basic principles were the same. Jamin found the power switch and activated the system. Lights blinked to life across the control panel. The login screen appeared in alien text, but Jamin had seen Thexval use this terminal many times. He entered the commander's access code, from memory. The system accepted his login without question. Now came the difficult part. Jamin needed to access the Academy's long-range communication array. This was the system the aliens used to send messages across the galaxy. It was also the system that could broadcast to every alien ship and base in known space. He worked quickly but carefully, navigating through layers of alien software. His fingers moved across the strange keyboard, typing commands he had memorized. During his months of observation, sweat began to form on his forehead despite the cold air. After 20 minutes of careful work, he found what he was looking for. The Academy's communication system was connected to the main hegemony network. From this terminal, he could send a message that would reach every alien commander in the galaxy. But more importantly, he could send a message that would reach Earth. Jamin began to type his message, choosing his words carefully. He knew he would only get one chance at this. If the aliens discovered what he was doing, they would kill him before he could finish. The message he composed was not just for Earth's military leaders. It was also meant to be intercepted by the aliens themselves. Every word had to serve two purposes: warn humanity and deceive the enemy. Priority transmission to Earth Command, he began. This is Communications Officer Jamin Park reporting from enemy captivity. I have obtained critical intelligence about planned invasion of Earth. He paused, listening for sounds of guards in the hallway. The Academy remained quiet. Enemy forces plan to attack during winter season, he continued. They believe humans are weakest during cold weather. Invasion will begin with orbital bombardment of major cities, followed by psychological warfare using recorded human distress calls. This part of the message was true, but it would also serve to confirm the aliens' intelligence when they eventually read the transmission. They would think their security had been breached, but they would also believe their invasion plan was still secret from most of humanity. Enemy numbers are massive, Jamin typed. Thousands of ships, millions of warriors. They have been gathering intelligence for years through captured prisoners. All previous attacks on human colonies were intelligence-gathering operations. Again, this was information the aliens already knew about themselves, but for Earth's military, it would provide crucial context about the scope of the threat they faced. Most importantly, Jamin continued, enemy believes all captured humans have provided truthful intelligence. They do not suspect deception operations. Repeat, they believe all captured humans have been broken and have provided accurate information. This was the most dangerous part of the message. If the aliens read this section carefully, they might realize that their prisoners had been lying to them. But Jamin was counting on alien arrogance to protect him. The aliens were so confident in their interrogation methods that they would never suspect their prisoners were capable of deception. He added technical details about alien ship designs and weapon capabilities. Some of this information was false. designed to mislead any aliens who intercepted the message. But mixed in with the lies were crucial truths that Earth scientists could use to prepare better defenses. The message grew longer as Jamin included everything he had learned during his captivity: guard patrol schedules, supply routes, communication frequencies, leadership personalities. All of it could be valuable to Earth's military planners. As he worked, Jamin heard footsteps in the hallway outside. He froze, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. The footsteps grew closer, then passed by the hall entrance without stopping. A guard making his routine patrol. Jamin waited until the footsteps faded away, then continued typing. Personal message to Admiral Min Ho Kang, he wrote. The plan is working perfectly. All our people in captivity are performing their roles flawlessly. Hee-Won Kim, Yoon Seo Choi, and others have convinced the enemy that humans are weak and unprepared. This section was specifically designed to confuse alien readers. If they intercepted this part of the message, they would think it referred to some kind of human surrender plan. They would not realize it was actually confirmation that their prisoners were double agents. Enemy invasion plan has 3 phases. Jamin continued with the technical details. Orbital bombardment, psychological warfare, ground invasion. They expect total victory within 7 days. All their intelligence suggests human military will collapse quickly. He included the specific target locations the aliens plan to attack, the types of weapons they would use, and the timeline for their invasion. This information would allow Earth's military to prepare appropriate defenses. But he also included false information about human defensive capabilities. He confirmed that Earth's military was small and poorly equipped. He verified that human leadership was weak and indecisive. All of this misinformation would reinforce alien expectations when they eventually read the message. The final section of his message was the most important. It was also the most dangerous. Attention all human forces, Jamin wrote. Operation Broken Shield has been successful beyond all expectations. The enemy believes we are weak, frightened, and divided. They have no idea that we have been preparing for this invasion for years. Phase 1. All captured personnel have provided false intelligence as planned. Enemy believes they understand our capabilities and psychology. They do not. Phase 2. Enemy expects us to prioritize civilian casualties over military objectives. They expect us to abandon defensive positions to conduct rescue operations. They expect our leaders to surrender rather than allow civilian suffering. Phase 3. Enemy weapons and tactics are designed to counter what they think are our capabilities. Their actual capabilities are significant but not overwhelming. Recommend immediate implementation of Defense Protocol 7. Defense Protocol 7 was a real plan that Jamin knew about from his communications work. But he was betting that the aliens would not understand what it meant even if they intercepted the message. He added one final line that would serve as both a warning to Earth and a trap for the aliens. The lesson is over. Time for the student to teach the teacher. Jamin finished his message and prepared to transmit it. But first he needed to make sure it would reach the right destination. The Academy's communication array could send messages anywhere in the galaxy, but it could also be traced back to its source. He spent another 10 minutes programming the transmission to bounce between multiple relay stations before reaching Earth. This would make it much harder for the aliens to determine where the message had originated. Finally, everything was ready. Jamin's finger hovered over the transmission key. Once he pressed it, there would be no going back. The aliens would eventually discover what he had done, and they would kill him for it. But they would also receive a message that would make them even more confident about their invasion plan. They would read his warnings to Earth as proof that humans were panicking and desperate. They would see his references to Defense Protocol 7 as evidence of human military confusion. Jamin pressed the key. The message shot out from the Academy's communication array at faster-than-light speed. It bounced between relay stations across the galaxy, splitting into multiple copies to ensure delivery. Within hours, it would reach communication posts throughout human space, but it would also be intercepted by alien listening posts. Jamin was counting on that. He quickly erased all traces of his activity from the computer system. Then he made his way back to his platform and carefully repositioned his restraints. To any casual observer, it would look like he had never moved. As he settled back into his chair, Jaemin heard footsteps approaching. Commander Thexval entered the hall, apparently unable to sleep. The alien commander walked over to check on his prize prisoner. 1 month later, the largest invasion fleet in galactic history approached the human solar system. Thousands of alien ships moved through space in perfect formation, their black hulls almost invisible against the stars. Commander Thexval stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching Earth grow larger on his screens. Final approach in 6 hours, his navigation officer reported. All ships are in position for Phase 1 bombardment. Thexval nodded with satisfaction. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. His scouts had detected no unusual human activity. Their defensive fleets were positioned exactly where his captured prisoners had said they would be. Earth looked peaceful and unprepared. Begin broadcasting the psychological warfare signals, Thexval ordered. I want every human on that planet to hear the screams of their captured friends. The alien fleet began transmitting the sounds of human suffering across every communication frequency. The screams and cries that had been recorded from captured prisoners echoed through space toward Earth. But something was wrong. Instead of the panic and confusion Thexval expected to see, human ships began moving with calm precision. They did not scatter or flee. Instead, they took up defensive positions that seemed to anticipate exactly where the alien fleet would attack. Sir, his tactical officer called out, the humans are not reacting as predicted. Their formation suggests they knew we were coming. Thexval frowned but was not worried. They probably detected our approach. It does not matter. Begin Phase 1 bombardment. The alien ships launched their kinetic weapons toward Earth's major cities. Tungsten rods accelerated to incredible speeds. Designed to create massive explosions without radiation, the aliens expected to see cities destroyed and millions of refugees fleeing in panic. Instead, the kinetic weapons struck empty ground. The major population centers their prisoners had identified were actually decoy cities built just for this invasion. They were empty except for automated systems designed to create the appearance of normal activity. Sir, the tactical officer's voice was urgent now. Our primary targets appear to be uninhabited. We've hit nothing but empty buildings and holographic projections. Before Thexval could respond, the human fleet opened fire. But these were not the primitive kinetic weapons the aliens expected. These were railguns that fired projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The projectiles tore through alien energy shields as if they were made of paper. The first wave of alien ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Thexval watched in shock as vessels that were supposed to be invincible were torn apart by primitive human weapons. How is this possible, he demanded. Our prisoners told us their weapons were obsolete. His communications officer looked up from her station with fear in her eyes. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. It's from one of our prisoners. The main screen flickered, and Yunseo Choi's face appeared. But she no longer looked broken or defeated. She wore a clean human military uniform and her eyes burned with fierce determination. Hello, Thexval, she said calmly. I hope you enjoyed our performance over the past few months. Did you really think we were going to tell you the truth about our capabilities? Thexval's blood ran cold. Impossible. We broke you. You told us everything. Yunseo smiled. We told you exactly what we wanted you to believe. Every weakness we described was actually a strength. Every vulnerability we revealed was actually a trap. Every piece of intelligence we gave you was designed to make you overconfident. The battle continued around them as more alien ships fell to human weapons. The weak human fleet was fighting with tactics the aliens had never seen before. They used three-dimensional formations that confused alien targeting systems. They coordinated their attacks with precision that suggested years of preparation. You studied our biology, Yunseo continued, but you never understood our psychology. You thought our emotions made us weak. Actually, they make us stronger. When you threaten one human, you threaten all of us. When you attack our home, every Human becomes a warrior. Another section of the alien fleet exploded as human missiles found their targets. These were not the simple explosives the aliens expected. They were quantum warheads that could tear holes in space-time itself. Your prisoners lied to you about our technology too, Yunseo explained. We've had energy weapons for decades. We just never saw any reason to show them to you. We let you think we were primitive because it served our purposes. Thexval turned to his weapons officer. Return fire, destroy their ships. But the alien weapons that were supposed to easily penetrate human defenses were having no effect. The human ships were protected by shields the aliens had never seen before. Energy beams that should have vaporized human vessels were absorbed and redirected. Our scientists have been studying your technology for years, Yunseo's voice continued from the speakers. Every attack you made on our colonies gave us more information about how your weapons work. We designed our defenses specifically to counter your advantages. The tide of battle was turning rapidly. What was supposed to be an easy victory for the aliens was becoming a massacre. Human reinforcements arrived from hidden positions throughout the solar system. Ships emerged from asteroid fields, from behind moons, from locations the aliens had never suspected. Phase 2, Thexval shouted desperately. Begin the ground invasion. But as alien transport ships headed toward Earth's surface, they found themselves flying into a trap. The weak planetary defenses that human prisoners had described were actually the most advanced weapon systems ever built. Energy cannons that had been disguised as communication towers opened fire. Missile batteries that had been hidden underground launched devastating attacks. Most of the alien transport ships were destroyed before they could land. The few that made it to the surface found themselves facing an enemy they had never expected. Human soldiers emerged from hidden bunkers wearing powered armor that made them stronger and faster than most alien species. The fragile humans that were supposed to break easily were now protected by technology that could stop most alien weapons. But more importantly, they were not fighting alone. Every human civilian had been trained for this moment. Teachers and doctors fought alongside soldiers. Children as young as 12 carried weapons and knew how to use them. The elderly operated communication equipment and provided intelligence. The aliens had expected to find 9 billion frightened, helpless victims. Instead, they found 9 billion fighters who had spent years preparing for this exact invasion. Back on the flagship, Thexval watched his invasion force being systematically destroyed. Human tactics were not primitive at all. They were sophisticated and deadly, designed by military leaders who had studied alien psychology just as carefully as the aliens had studied humans. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving another transmission. This one is from Earth's surface. The screen changed to show Admiral Minho Kang standing in what was clearly a military command center. Behind him, displays showed the progress of the battle. Human forces were winning on every front. Commander Thexval, Admiral Kang said politely, I want to thank you for the excellent intelligence you provided. Your Academy's lessons were recorded by our agent and transmitted to us weeks ago. We found your invasion plan very informative. Thexval's legs nearly gave out beneath him. Agent? What agent? The screen split to show Jamin Park standing beside the Admiral. He was clean, healthy, and wearing a human military uniform with communications officer insignia. Officer Park was never really unconscious during your lessons, Admiral Kang explained. Human biology is more adaptable than you realized. His body developed resistance to your sedatives after the first few weeks. He heard every word of your invasion briefing. Jamin stepped forward to speak. Did you really think we would send reconnaissance missions into alien space without preparing for capture? Every human you took prisoner was a volunteer. We've been feeding you false information for years. The implications hit Thexval like a physical blow. Every tactical advantage his forces had counted on was based on lies. Every weakness they planned to exploit was actually a carefully prepared defense. Your psychological warfare was particularly ineffective, Admiral Kang continued. The screams you've been broadcasting are not real human voices. They're computer-generated sounds designed to make you think your interrogation methods were working. But we saw the recordings, Thexval protested. We watched humans being tortured. You watched actors, Jamin replied. Volunteers who were trained to convince you that humans break under pressure. Every tear was fake. Every scream was performed. Every piece of intelligence was carefully crafted to mislead you. The battle was nearly over. The alien invasion fleet that had taken years to assemble was being destroyed in a matter of hours. Human ships pursued the survivors with ruthless efficiency. We studied your species just as carefully as you studied ours, Admiral Kang said. We learned that you value individual strength above all else. You assume that any species weaker than you individually must be inferior. You never understood that humans draw strength from working together. We also learned about your arrogance, Jamin added. You were so convinced of your own superiority that you never questioned the